Shalom, it's No Limit Eddie back with another video. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. Today we're talking about why do Africans hate African Americans. I'm going to be reacting to a video from a channel called Expat Life Ghana. I'm going to have them tagged in the title of today's video, and I'll also leave the link to the original video in the description of today's video. Like today's video, share it with a friend, and drop the word Ghana in the comment section. Alright, so why do Africans hate African Americans? Now, I've definitely seen videos talking about this. I've seen people on both sides saying Africans do not hate African Americans, and I've seen videos like Africans really hate African Americans. And I think everybody has their own take on it. But however, let's see what these guys think about it.
Yeah, and a lot of people want to know if it's true. If Africans don't like Black Americans. Do you think that's true?
Personally, no, I don't think that's true. I just think we're all a little misunderstood. Maybe this video will help out. Well, we went out and asked some people to give us their opinion on the matter, and we were blown away by some of the responses we got.
Yeah, and it's nuts because people will choose not to visit Africa because of this whole hate narrative.
All right, now, it's another right now about to get into the topic of their opinions on if they think Africans hate African Americans or not. By the way, I like this guy's shirt, Black people migrated to Africa from the Western world to escape racism. I like that's a really cool shirt. I'm not sure if it's merch or if it is just a shirt he found.
People will choose not to visit Africa because of this whole...
And even their whole setting is nice, like little flowers in the back, the chair and stuff like that. Cool little vibe with the setting.
Hate narrative. So, why do Africans hate Black Americans?
Don't say hate. This is not about hate. Reason number one.
All right.
Africans don't like blacks. Americans come to Africa wanting it to be like America.
People are always comparing the two. It's like, oh, they'll say this is not the way it is in the States, or that's not how you should do it, or that's not how it's done.
All right, now, interesting. All right, so the first reason they state is that we come over, African Americans come over, with the mentality of wanting Africa to be America. Now, two things I want to say on this. The first thing I want to say on this is most African Americans, when they first leave America and go to these African countries, it is likely the first country they've been to. Most of the first country outside of America they've been to. And so therefore, when I go ahead and I talk to a lot of African Americans that I meet out here, when they're in Africa for the first time, is usually the first time they ever have left the country to begin with, unless they're like military people. Military people have traveled usually around, but it's a little bit different when you're doing it yourself and when you're doing it with Uncle Sam. Now, it's like if you have only driven one car, right? You've only driven a Honda before, and if somebody lets you behind the wheel of a Lamborghini, you are going to say like, wow, this is different. This thing was different. This Alcantara is different. Oh my goodness, the engine is so loud. It's so much faster. You know what I mean? The acceleration is so quick. Like you're going to compare it to what you know, which is a Honda. And so like to say that that's a reason, I'm not saying they're saying that's justified, but to say this is a reason why Africans should hate African Americans, I think it's kind of false. And so the second thing I want to mention to this is that we do come over trying to tell people that what they're doing is wrong. And I don't think that's something that we could as a people change. You know, understanding that their way of life, just because it's different, doesn't mean that different is wrong. There's a lot of things that we can learn from continental Africans, and there's a lot of things continental Africans want to and can learn from us as well, right? And so I do believe that there is a give and take on both sides.
Done. And African people are like, yo, we've been doing this stuff for a long time.
Right.
We know how to get things done. It turns people off.
Yeah, absolutely. Thinking that, America has set the standard for everything, by the way, that is not even close to
I don't even know if you can say Americans set the standard now. They're kind of substandard.
Yeah.
No, real talk, that is true. Like, we do have something called American exceptionalism, where we do believe we are just a more exceptional group of people than everywhere else in the world, and I do believe that is now causing our downfall, because even with all this chaotic stuff going on, people will still say, I still rather would be in America because it's America, when in reality there's so many better options out here for you, that you have more freedom, that you have more morality, within a society. You have more opportunities, I guess you can say, even within a society. And so it's just like I do believe that American exceptionalism is now coming back around to bite us. It's becoming now a thing of pride.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Everything we do, us expats do, comparing where we came from, hurts our position of being here.
Yeah, I mean, if you're constantly comparing, it's just, it ends up being derogatory. So, number 2.
Africans don't like Americans coming here, taking up jobs and starting up businesses without them, and in general.
All right, Africans don't like Americans going over and starting businesses or taking jobs. First thing I want to say is it's interesting that she's wearing like the Anakra fabric and the African earrings. When you come to Africa, like it's weird. Like this type of dresses, the type of clothing that she's wearing only works in America. Like you don't really, if you wear this in the continent, you almost stand out like a tourist. You know what I mean? You almost stand out like a tourist, and you're probably going to get taxed and things like that. So this is just a random tidbit. And it's like we wear that in America thinking we're being more African, but in reality, that's not how it always is. Now, what I would say is that most of the time when we go over, we're not taking that many jobs because most of us can't find jobs, and that's when most of us end up going back to the States. So I don't think we're taking too many jobs. Simultaneously, I just believe that we live in a world of globalization, and thus, in a world of globalization where you're competing with jobs from everybody across the world, you have to skill up. You have to level up your skill set. You have to level up your mentality, your beliefs, your ability to occur jobs, your connections, and things like that. You live in a global marketplace now where you have to compete with everybody around the world at all points in time. And therefore, when you realize that this world is in competition, you got to step it up. So you can't be mad at people from coming over and taking your jobs, regardless of who they are. You have to be mad at yourself for not being better than the person who took your job.
Yeah, there could be some resentment about foreigners coming to Africa for jobs, and sometimes Africans are like, hey, we've been here all this time, we don't have jobs, but you foreigners are coming over here and you're getting the jobs and I'm getting left behind.
Yeah, I get that. Having cash for business startups is great. With all of the brilliant ideas here in Ghana, most won't come to pass because of limited funds.
Yeah, that limited funds is a huge thing.
And I think that's probably the biggest hurdle for people here is...
Right. And they're starting a business, man. Starting a business, I think, is more so positive. If they're complaining about jobs and we create a business that allows people to get jobs, well, then that's positive overall. And I do feel like the expats that go to Ghana are, I'll just say this in my own mannerism and methodology, but they're usually of a high, I don't want to say higher, but they're of a higher financial standing than most people who go to other countries. And so they do usually have a lot of experience, whether it's in corporate America or in the businesses over in the States. And when they go to Ghana, I think they have a much higher chance of succeeding because of the methodology that they go and operate with. So shout out to Ghana.
They have an idea, they don't have the money to get the idea going, so they're left just doing whatever they can to support themselves, and they got this $1 million idea that they can't get funded.
Well, and then Americans or Westerners come in and they do it without them. We're not good about including the people on the ground who may have that $1 million idea, but we've already dismissed.
Interesting. Now, it's like you do want to include people in, surely, but at the same time, you don't know who to trust. You don't want to I always feel like this is my belief. When African Americans go to Africa, we need to focus on We need to focus on our household first, our individual household, ourselves, our spouses, our children, our pets. Boom. Then after our own individual household, focus on other African Americans in the diaspora. After other African Americans in the diaspora, then you focus on local people. But you cannot go in focusing on local people when you haven't fixed and established yourself first. And then you cannot worry about a next group of local people when you haven't even established and work together with the other African Americans or other Americans, blacks from the UK and blacks from New Zealand and blacks from wherever else that are over there. Then you can worry about the local people. I feel like that's kind of the order and the chain of command that must be brought about. So I feel my own way about incorporating locals because it's going to take a lot more time. It might be a lot harder because you have to really vet them and see if you can trust them and things like that.
Yeah, it's stick to our own and kind of we can come here and show you guys how to do it that kind
That'll
of
increase the hate, that'll increase the hate.
Yeah.
All right, so reason number 3 Africans don't like Americans is because they believe the hype.
Ha! The television here is dated and slanted, and well, it is the only window a lot of Africans have to America and blacks out there globally.
Yeah.
I believe this is real. You know what I mean? Like you said, television, tell lie vision, telling lies through your vision. Make sure you understand the words that you're saying. Now, with that being said, I do believe that because African Americans don't travel enough, because Americans as a whole don't travel enough. I think only 1/3 of Americans have passports, and that's including Caucasian, Hispanic, Asian people. So I'm assuming maybe 10% of the black population in America has passports. And of that 10%, maybe 7% actually use them. Now, that would be a high number too. Now, with that being said, we are not traveling enough. And then when we are traveling, we're not traveling to these African countries. And so the only interaction that most Africans have had with African Americans are through the music industry, which we know perpetrates a certain narrative of gang banging, drug dealing, promiscuous women. We promote a certain type of narrative within our music because it's not our music, it's music that's created by record labels, and that's a whole story within itself. And so that's one form of engagement they have. And you have the movies, and the movies they show are the gangster movies and the shooting movies and the drug dealing movies. They don't show positive movies, of the black community. And that goes back to the fact that we don't really have control that much over the media. And so our representation and our branding across the world is not the most positive. And therefore, we have to, when we actually go to Africa and interact with people, a lot of times it might be the first time ever to interact with an African American. And so you have to really, really, really be aware that they're going to perceive you in a certain way, and then you have to overtly correct that by your actions and your mannerisms and your speech and your demeanor. Because most of the time, the only vision.
Yeah, I am so tired of Judge Judy from 2009. Yo, we do not look good, y'all. We do not look good. And if you are in the U.S. and wonder how misrepresentation and bias in television impacts blacks worldwide, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's no wonder. But I think that's changing a lot with the internet and YouTube. Africans used to all want to go to the U.S., but now they're like, no. They'll just shoot you in the street, huh? No, I'll pass. Now they're seeing what this black man has been going through there, and they see, well, if I go there.
And the crazy thing is, I feel like even with all this representation, all the shooting and things like that, most Africans still will really love to go back to the States. And I think this comes back to separation. That there is a separation between Africans and African Americans. They still believe that African Americans do certain activities that lead them to being in situations in which they are wrought such justices, I guess you can say, in their mind. You know what I mean? And so they believe that because they operate in a different manner than African Americans, that those situations will not occur to them. Now, with that being said, I don't necessarily know if the internet is changing too much of the representation of African Americans, because in reality the media and the algorithms will feed them similar content than what they would see on the television. They would have to purposely seek out particular content that shows African Americans in a positive light.
There. I don't want those troubles.
I know, well, and that's the thing, is that when you're walking down the streets in America, they don't discriminate between you being an African or
A black
Caribbean
man.
or, or
There's a black man to
there's a
them.
black. You're just black. You're just black.
Yeah.
It's a shame that I have to put the word just in front of that.
Yeah. It's
Anyway.
so negative.
So the police do not differentiate, but the minds of the people still differentiate. You can ask people from certain places in Africa, and they're not going to identify necessarily with African Americans. You can ask African Americans, they're not going to necessarily identify with Africans. And so, while we may differentiate, the police don't differentiate, but in their minds, because they differentiate, the police also will differentiate. But then they also believe that their actions are different. So,
Number 4.
definitely subscribe to their channel, guys. They're dropping some really good content.
Africans don't like Americans. It's because y'all is cheap.
rich people in general are usually cheap. That's how they get rich and keep their wealth.
There's nobody cheaper than rich people.
Yeah, and when it comes to rich African Americans, they can be real cheap. And I can't argue with that one. But, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so the African Americans are cheap. I never heard this one actually. I haven't heard this one before. This is interesting. I want to hear what they're going to say on this. I don't even know if I have a topic or a thought on this, and I got to see what they mean by it. And one thing I do want to say, guys, is before we even get into this clip about being cheap, if you guys are interested in learning how how I moved out of America at 21 years old and have been living out of America now 23 years old for that extended period of time, traveled to multiple different countries, such on and such forth. You guys want to know how I finance it? Well, I'm going to be doing a coaching program very soon. I'm going to have 10 students, and I'm going to help them to create a highly profitable course business in the next 6 weeks. If you want to be one of those 10 students, go ahead and hit the link in the description and sign up for the waitlist for that program. You know, it's not going to be a first come first serve basis. There's an interview process. You have to be approved. I have to like your idea. I have to think, okay, I can actually help you, because I really just want people to actually really get success with this program. That way I can get some testimonials from it, and then after that, then I'll be able to more so automate the process instead of having to do one-on-ones every time. So either way, if you guys are interested in doing such a thing, click the link in the description, sign up for the waitlist. On top of that, if you're interested in relocating to the continent of Africa, I have the Ultimate African Relocation Guide linked in the description of my video as well. If you want to know like how to actually move and relocate to the continent, that is a great resource for you to have. And you also want to get over $200 worth of bonuses at this moment in time. Don't miss out. Click the link in the description. Pick up the Ultimate African Relocation Guide. If you're serious about wanting to know how to make money, whether it's to come to Africa, whether it's just to make money in general, sign up for that wait list. And when it's finished, you know, hopefully maybe you have a chance to get yourself a spot.
That gives, they give us the smallest tip, if any. And it's like, really? Why would you do that?
Yeah, I think it's all about wanting to get something for less. Like everybody wants to get more for less.
Right.
I get that. There's something into having value, but there's a little bit of that when you come to an African country where that trying to get value is actually exploitative. So if you're coming to Ghana or anywhere in Africa because you want the free land, man.
Man, let's talk about this. Let's get overly extracurricular. I despise this. I despise statements like this. People say a lot of times, don't come to Africa and be a burden. Don't come to Africa and exploit the locals. Don't come to Africa and do this. I don't understand how it's possible to do such a thing. So, on an aspect of this, they're talking about it could be exploitative, right? Let's talk about the idea of giving a tip. So, I almost feel like because you have more money, they want you to give more money, when that's not necessarily the case. If you want to tip, then just tip them the same amount that a local would tip them, if you're going to tip. But I almost feel like, and I had this happen before to me, where it's like, I know you have the money, give me more of it. And I don't like that type of stuff. It's just like, just because I have more doesn't mean I have to give more. I have more because I don't necessarily just squander the money that I do have. And so, I don't know about the exploiting locals. Like, if you just live life and you buy the items and you get the items, it's very hard to be exploitative because you're still paying for the service. You're still paying for the product. You're still buying the item. So, like, I feel like to exploit somebody is very difficult in the modern world. It's not as if we are providing violence or force upon the next person to give them a service. I can see that being exploitive, but just by buying a service and not tipping an exuberant amount because you can tip an exuberant amount, I don't think that's right. Now let's talk about the free land aspect as well. When you were just living in America, they're living in trenches, living in terror, living in, like, you're living literally in a war zone. We look at places like Chicago, where there was literally more deaths there in 1 year than there was in Iraq. We're living in literal war zones. Yet nobody is offering us asylum. Nobody is offering us protection and saying, hey, you're refugees, come into my country and live safely. But we're doing that from many other countries where it's far less ruthless and vile and much far less hatred. We are living in a real life genocide in America, yet people don't see it as that. And so when you come to a continent of Africa and they say, we're going to give you some free land, even though you still got to pay for the land, such on and such forth, okay? just because you are like I almost feel as if the struggle of African Americans is always downplayed significantly. When we look at the abortions that are happening and where they're located, where the centers are located, how many of them are black, and we look at the founder of Planned Parenthood, what she said about African Americans. We look at the prison system. We look at the over-representation of black Americans inside of the prison system. When we look at the single-parent household, 80% of black people being born out of wedlock, and that leads to more drug users, more women who are born in single-parent households becoming single parents themselves. That leads to higher suicide rates. It leads to higher uses of drugs, less educated people. When we look at the amount of drug addicts within our community, we look at the amount of killings by gunfire in our communities, we are being destroyed utterly. And so when we decide, okay, when somebody says, let's offer you free land, which is the closest thing we'll probably ever get to reparations, or the closest thing we'll ever get to some form of asylum, and we decide to take that up upon there, why do we owe a country more than just coming in, building on our land, doing all that stuff? There's regulations even with the free land. You got to build this and do this. If you're going to hire locals to build your house, you're going to be paying the Ghanaian government the fees and the taxes. You're going to be eating food from local restaurants. You're going to be buying fruits and vegetables from these people, buying seeds and trees. It's very hard to be exploitive when you're going to go live in a country, because you're going to have to give money to the locals one way or another. And so that's just my thoughts on the matter. You know what I mean? It's very hard for exploitation to occur in such a modern world.
Reason number 5, Africans don't like Americans because you think Africans are all bush people.
Oh my God! Have you ever heard "Go Back to the Bush"? Okay, maybe that's just me because I'm actually an African, but "Go Back to the Bush." What do you think Africa looks like?
I've never heard that before.
You think, if you were to think about what African person was told about Black American, what would that image be?
Yeah.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? What?
Yeah, when you say that, I remember the first time coming here and taking a walk with Pop out in the mountains. He's like, Tony, look at the house over there in the bushes. You see the house? There's a glass house. Built into the mountainside, and there's bushes around it. Big old glass house. He's like, look at the bush house. So yeah.
It's a big, huge glass mansion.
Yeah. Bush house. Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's the bush everybody's been thinking about. Mm-hmm. But the bias works both ways, right? So Africans are watching and getting a stereotype of American.
Right. This is something that I feel is spot on. We do have certain misconceptions about African people. I do feel that at times American people can almost feel above them in a way, and I don't know where that stems from per se. Well, I know what it stems from. I think similar to how they are fed lies, we are fed lies as well. We see Africans on TV with their hand out, starving, feed them for 1 cent a day and stuff like that. We see those type of narratives. Every time people think about Africa, they only think about Caucasian men, them going there and doing orphanages or doing some type of well project. Like, they don't even have clean water, what we always told. Just starving to death, there's flies going all over them. So we are taught these type of things as well, and we're always taught to be better. We're always taught that we are better than them in that sense, because we're like, eat your food. People in Africa starving. Like, whenever they think about Africa, they think of just a lowly place. And I do believe that plays into the psyche of the black man and black woman when we do go over there.
That, hey, we're all rich.
And you guys are getting the stereotype that everybody here is
Poor.
I don't even know.
Yeah. Then you come here with the attitude that people here are a little offended by that.
Well, yeah, you're basically thinking they're bush people.
And that's
like
fair.
everybody
That's a fair reason to not like somebody.
Yeah.
When people are all like, "Oh, do you have a dad? Oh, you're not a crybaby."
No.
It's like, "Oh, there's water in Africa. Did you ride a lion to work today?"
Yeah.
Right.
So backwards.
This is 100% on the accurate side.
Reason number 9, Africans don't like Americans.
And I decided to skip ahead a little bit so that we can get to some of the more interesting points.
Because Americans don't share their money.
Wait.
Americans don't share
What?
their money. Okay.
Yeah, for some reason they think we
Share.
all have money. Like lots of money.
Oh my God, they think we all.
And then we're stingy with it.
I have had my fair share of people thinking that exact same thing, and you do have a point with this one. You have a very good point with this one. There was this one girl who actually asked me if she could have my cell phone, and I was like, "Girl, I'm still making payments on this phone."
Gangly. Hey, real talk, I think this is a big issue. And this is why, and this is not only why Africans hate African Americans, this is why African Americans hate Africans. Because they think they want to squeeze us for every dime and penny. In their mind, we have a lot of money. Okay, so they say, okay, I'm going to take from this person this thing, which they think to us is nothing, it's pennies, but we see it like, yo, you're trying to break me, you're trying to bankrupt me. And so we see it as them scamming us, lying from us, stealing from us. They see it as them just getting what they justly deserve. You know what I mean? And it's a weird concept, a weird connotation between both parties of it, because it's not like we asked to be brought over to America and things like that. But at the same time, when we do come back, it's almost as if like they feel like we could owe them something. It's like, why do you think you're entitled to eat anything that is not yours? Because it's weird, because they do this to African Americans, but not to Caucasian man, not to the Asian man, and to the Caucasian and Asian man, they just like, okay, live your life, be peaceful, be positive. You know, we're actually going to charge you less than local prices. We want you to really enjoy your time here. But when it comes to African Americans, they charge us over, double, triple, you know what I mean? The price is what it's supposed to be. And it's a weird thing that it's specifically African Americans and Africans. I've seen them treat Caucasian men better, Asian men better, you know what I mean? Even Indian men better. And so it is a thing that does occur. And I don't like it at all.
What are you talking about? You can't have a phone.
Yeah.
And I've had that happen to me too. A lot of men ask me, grown men ask me for phones in Tanzania. I don't think I ever spoke on that. But grown men would ask me for my phone in Tanzania. And I say, bro, like, what kind of stuff you think this is? Like, I don't just go around giving the next people my phone, you know what I mean? But that does occur.
Yeah, so they want you to be more generous since you have all that money. They don't know all Americans are brokerly broke.
No.
They don't know that.
They brokey broke. They broke. That's right. We are making payments on the house. We are making payments on the car. We are still making payments on our college education. And sometimes it's still making payments on the kids' education. We are making payments on electricity. We are making payments on...
You know,
the bills are prorated. We got our gifts on layaway.
Look, yeah, it's a lot of credit going on, man. It's a lot of credit going on. We may have a mass amount of material items, but the way we got them is not the same way you get them in Africa. And so, yeah, that's something that's big, man. That's something that's big. You know, shout out to that point. Let me see what the next point is, man. But this it's because they think we're rich that they try to scam us and all this type of stuff, man. And it's just not right overall. I think that was the last point they had within the video. So, what's this one more?
don't know each other.
There is a divide that we never seem poised to close at all.
Americans are not encouraged to learn about or even visit Africa.
Right, so that's something that I mentioned earlier. That like they don't have any reference to real African Americans. We don't have any reference a lot of times to. I think it's the opposite way around. They don't have any reference to African Americans, because African Americans don't travel. African Americans don't visit. African Americans don't live in these other countries. So for the most part, I think that's kind of the problem. There's a lot of Africans that come over to the States, and you know you end up meeting them and talking to them, but they don't represent the local Africans most of the time. I feel like if you were an African and you're able to travel, you usually come from a family of some type of status, some type of structure behind them, and so because of that. They don't necessarily represent the average African that's still living in the continent. But with that being said, shout out to Expat Life Ghana. I really appreciate you guys for making this video. I really think that it was nice. It was good content within here. Hopefully people enjoyed the content that I was able to add on to it, because I do feel that this is a serious topic, and I'm talking about a personal experience living in Tanzania, living in Egypt. I don't feel that Africans necessarily hate African American people. I don't. I do feel, however, that they don't love African American people. That's what I would say. Like, it's not nobody in their right mind can say it's a spirit of love between Africans and African Americans. You know what I mean? I feel like there's more love coming from the African American side, but when you go there, you know, and you really have experience there, you'll see that there's not love, right? It's not like, oh, this is my brother, he's back home. Let me show him the way. Let me give him the ropes. Let me, make sure he's getting a fair price. Let me make sure he is taken care of from X, Y, to Z. And I'm not saying that we're entitled to that either, but I am saying there's a lot of people who will pretend to be your friend, but they're really squeezing money out of you. They're really overcharging you. They're really working deals to undercut you. You know, these are situations that occur time and time again, and everybody who's had any experience living in sub-Saharan Africa can say such a thing. Now, my experience in North Africa has been significantly different. The people in North Africa have been much kinder to me, much nicer to me, have really like gone out of their way to help me and not even dare to ask me for anything. And there's a lot of kindness that has been shown to me in Egypt, you know what I mean? And so, That's my personal feelings about it, man. That's my personal feelings about it. But hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you leave a like on today's video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. Click the link in the description. Pick up the Ultimate African Relocation Guide. Pick up the sign up for the waitlist for the coaching program. Do all this type of stuff, right? See you guys in the next one. Y'all willing. Peace.